All day, all night, you've cried and cried. You'll be okay, you'll be fine. At Spicy with Phina, we understand all the pains.
Sex education is a topic many parents would prefer to avoid, for obvious reasons. Not finding the right words to explain sex or sexual organs without being explicit, or even the seeming embarrassment of saying certain things to a child. If you have a young child, you might want to think you are off the hook, or at least for a bit. But that isn't necessarily true. Sex education can begin anytime, though it's best to allow the child set the pace. On Spicy with Phina today, we are going to be talking about sex education, child sex education. We'll be looking at when it is time to start talking to your child about sex. We have two guests in the house for us to actually look more into the story we have today. Let's get to meet our guest. I'll be right back.
At Spicy with Phina, we understand all the pains.
Adegbimpe Jayola is a mother, educationist, and media professional. She is an experienced radio and TV host, newscaster, and a businesswoman. She is the CEO of Carsten's Haven, a company which trains on phonics and speaking rights for kids, students, and adults. Bimpe is also a great motivator and trainer. Essie Ortega is a mass communicator and a certified media professional with years of experience in both public and private media organization. She has served in various capacities as a radio host, news editor, producer, and more. Essie is also a fast-rising actor, voiceover professional, and graphics designer. She is passionate about raising purpose-driven young ladies to become role models to other younger ones in the society, an initiative she drives through our organization, Rare Vessels.
At Spicy with Phina, we understand all the pains.
Welcome back. It's this Spicy with Phina, and I have my guests already seated. Good afternoon. Good to have both of you on my set.
It's a pleasure. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Glad to be
Bimpe
here.
and Essie. Good to have you.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Today's topic is a bit, we're talking about our children, like how important it is to have sexual, education, have them educated sexually, more like how do we educate them on sex and sexual organs and all. When is the right time to start and all. I have a story. Let's get to read the story before we dive into other things. My 10-year-old son usually watches me bathe naked. He doesn't know I see him peeping at me when I'm bathing or dressing up. But what surprises me the most is I see him hold on to his trouser while watching me. What do you think is wrong with him? Would it be right to talk to him about sex? I'll start with you, Bibi. What would be the, in layman's English, how will you define child sex education as? And how important do you think it is, to the mom, to the parent and their children?
Okay, so child sex education is simply bringing to the awareness of the child sex and everything that has to do with sex, the organs and all of that. So bringing to the child's awareness, a child needs to be aware of the sexual organs. The first thing that anybody would tell you is call the organs exactly what it is. Call them by their names. Don't give them names. Don't coin names for them. Call them exactly what it is. Let them understand. Let the children get familiar with their body. Let them know what it actually is, because this is where it starts from. This is where sex education actually starts from.
You think it's important?
It is very, very important. For this woman, I think she missed it if at the age of 10, the child had never been educated sexually, if she had never had this conversation with her child, before that age, then she missed it somewhere.
Before we come to the actual age that a child ought to, that we intend or we're supposed to start educating children, before we come to that age range, I'd like to know what you have to say with regards to what I've just mentioned.
Yes, I feel that children should be informed early.
Okay.
You don't have to wait till they are 15 or 20. When they start growing, begin to tell them things. Okay, this is the breast, this is the penis and all. Don't hide things. Don't give them nickname.
Okay.
Be plain as possible, because they are learning faster every day.
Every day.
They see things and they are getting more exposed than we think.
So even if you don't tell them, the world is revolving.
Of course,
They'll
yes.
go out there and they will learn it.
Yes.
So let's look at what age. What age would you rather say a parent should start educating his
No, I
or her
feel
child?
from 8, 9, 10.
From 8.
Yes,
Do you
just let
agree?
them know.
No,
Do you agree?
I don't agree. I believe once a child is aware of his environment,
Okay.
then you should start to educate the child.
But this child that is 10 and is doing all of these things.
The child most likely, obviously, was aware of the environment before he got to age 10. A child is aware of his environment from maybe age 2, 3. Yes.
Really?
You're
I
aware.
thought
You
2
know
would
this
be
is
too
daddy.
early.
No, there are ways of going about it. From age 2, the child should know this is my penis, this is my breast, this is my bum. The child should know. That is where sex education starts from. And then you start to let the child know these are areas you
Nobody
allow
should
people touch.
touch.
These are areas you
Of
shouldn't.
course, okay,
So
fine.
this is where sex education starts
Really
from.
starts from.
Yes.
That's true.
Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
You should,
Now,
you
if-
should start early with them.
We start early with them.
Yeah.
Now, if we look at a lot of things happening now, social media is a place where everybody just go to social media. Would you rather say, I'm going to sit, if you want to sit your own child down, what are the best words to use without exposing the child to being vulnerable? Because it's a sensitive thing to say to a child. So what way, how best can it be presented to a child without you exposing him to, being vulnerable?
Well, there are always conversation starters. You could look for, it could be a story. You could tell the child a story. Do you know this happened? This person, you could even form,
Coin a
yes,
story.
just form the story.
Oh,
and then
okay.
it arouses the child's interest, and you tell the child, this was what happened.
Happened.
This person, and you don't need to go into details. You don't have to be explicit, but mention the vital things. Mention and make sure the child understands exactly what you are saying.
Yes,
And it's a gradual thing. It's not something you dump all the information on the child at
Of course,
once.
of course.
It comes with age as the child grows. Because the truth is, if we don't say it, the society would
You
teach
tell
them.
Teach them,
If you don't teach them, they will be taught out there, and then they'll be taught what we don't want
The
them
wrong
to
thing,
learn.
yes.
Yes,
Exactly.
so it is better you look for a way to do it to yourself. It's never easy.
Do you
But
think?
it's-
Do you think there could be disadvantages to, having this sex talk with your child? Do you think there could be disadvantages?
I-
Like, okay, fine. Let me take it this way.
Okay.
The child doesn't really know most of these things and what they are used for, and you engaging that child on that sex talk, and you're exposing them to, this is what this is for. You're not supposed to let someone touch it. Do you think sitting down and having that conversation with that child, do you think there could be negative effect on that child?
I don't think so, because if you don't start early, they begin to learn the wrong things outside. Tell them the way it is. It might sound too heavy for their ears, but I feel that if you don't at an early stage begin to tell them things, they begin to get the wrong information. And I feel parents should also be very fair with their children. Don't be too tight, like
Uptight.
don't come near me, don't do this. Be free, play with them, tell them life experiences, expose them, but still be very careful about it anyways. You don't have to give them the heavy
Do you
words
think
and
there
all.
could be
I
disadvantages?
think there are more disadvantages if you don't say it than if you say it.
Okay.
If you let, the truth is, okay, there's this always the saying that if you ask a child not to go somewhere, the child
same.
would actually go there. But if you give the child free access, then most likely the child would see it as nothing and would most likely not go there. So if you keep hiding everything about sex. I'm not saying you should expose the child completely to X-rated things, but at least let them be aware that there is something like that, and that it is not meant for their age. It is meant for adults. It is adults play and all of that. So they are aware. So if you know, there are pedophiles out there.
Of course.
So if they happen to be faced with a thing like that, they understand where it is going. They are aware, completely aware. So I think there is more disadvantage in not mentioning than mentioning.
I also think it's good to start sex education, like you mentioned early, and continue till they become adults. Because from that age too, like you mentioned, there are certain things you can tell them, and at a certain point you would stop. And then when they grow to a certain age, you pick up from where you stop to continue. Because one thing is to tell them about the organs. Another thing is to tell them about the use. This is what there are certain things you can't tell a 2-year-old child, but you can tell a 15-year-old child.
Yes,
true.
So I think it all starts with you doing the needful from when they are growing up, even till they become, you know, they of course they'll migrate to being them teenagers to, you know. I think it's really, really very, very vital. We have to go on a quick break, and when we come back, we will continue on the conversation. We'll be right back.
At Spicy with Phina, we understand all the pains.
Welcome back. It's this Spicy with Phina, and we're discussing child sex education today. Bimbe, I wanted to say something in terms of adults. Now, let's leave the aspect of educating the child. What do you think are the behaviors adults should, you know, exhibit in the midst of children? What should they do and what they shouldn't do? I want to know what you think about what adults should do and what they shouldn't do in the midst of children.
First of all, I'd like to address adults who live in a very small house.
Okay.
And they have a child. No matter the age of the child, even if the child is little, you think the child does not see, but the child actually sees. And unfortunately, these images stick. They don't go. So adults need to be really, really careful, especially those who live in maybe a room apartment or, you know, small houses. They need to be careful. Sometimes you think the child is sleeping, but the child is actually not sleeping.
Well, in such scenario, where do you want the adult to run to now? It's one room. So what am I supposed to do?
You discover that most of these children who engage in early sex, they are children from such homes where they see their parents doing it live and the mistakes.
And their parents don't have the option of doing it elsewhere.
Well, maybe they could build a curtain or something.
No, demarcate.
They will make noise.
Or find.
They will make noise.
Maybe they will try and discipline themselves not
and
to make noise.
Why is mommy shouting?
What's happening?
Shouting? So I just feel for people living in one room, because you can't imagine how their parents will be trying their best to ensure they don't expose these things to the children, but because they are being confined into a small space. So, but still, I want to know the advantages and disadvantages of these things. I need to also find out if there are ways to still manage it, regardless. Even if the space is small, what do you still advise adults to do?
I think the best thing is just find a way of demarcating the house
and make less noise.
Probably.
What would you?
Maybe they can have a time they just leave the house, even if it's one small 4,000 naira room they go and pay for, to help protect their children, because they can't really say they will not have fun as husband and wife. They have to. They just have to.
Well,
somebody living in one room now will not be
grandma,
or your sister, your cousin,
or something. But honestly,
I'm just
you can't have a child in that kind of
environment.
Yes. You can't have a child there, because children are very
observant, like they pick things very early.
What are other adult behaviors that should be avoided when you have kids around?
I think adults should avoid, yes, a lot of people would say adults should not dress up in front of children. But I don't know. I might not agree totally.
Really?
Yes, I might not agree totally. Like, I feel children should understand the fact that it's not really a big deal to be naked. So when they grow up feeling that it's not really a big deal to be naked, then they're comfortable in their own, that's my own opinion anyway.
Their own skin.
They're comfortable in their own skin. They don't get aroused by seeing a naked person just because they've not seen it. Well, I might be wrong.
No, but because me, I'm about to counter you.
Okay.
I think adults should not expose themselves when you have kids around. Reason: children, like you said, there are places you tell them don't go. It is that place you told them not to go that they want to go. Now they see certain things and they're wondering, why is that this one like this?
What is this?
They become too inquisitive unnecessarily for their age. So I just feel, if you have to, of course, if you want to dress up now, there are ways to even do it. Our mothers used to use wrapper
to cover themselves.
Why? Because they want to save you that curiosity of you seeing what will now be disturbing your head unnecessarily. So me, I think they shouldn't.
I grew up seeing my parents.
Really?
Yeah.
Me, I did not grow up seeing them. Maybe that's why we have two different opinions.
Oh,
but what's yours? What's yours?
Then I wouldn't advise a parent should just go naked in front of their children. I think they are going to make them more curious. Like they want to, what is this? What am I seeing? They begin to ask their friend question. I saw mommy today. I don't understand why her own is. How is your mommy's own like? So I feel that parents shouldn't.
I feel it comes to that if the child did not grow up seeing the parents. Then what if the child sees the parents once? Then it becomes a big deal.
Oh, okay.
But if you grow up, you see it every day. It's nothing.
Okay.
I grew up seeing my parents. I grew up seeing my mom. I grew up seeing my dad. And it's nothing. I don't even look at them twice. I just pass. It's
like you didn't see anything.
Yes, like I did. So
okay, so it depends on it depends on how you have trained your children.
Then I feel choice of language also. There are some things that you should not say in front of your children. Not every adult talk there will be there reading your lips if you are talking. No, once you have guests, let them leave you. And be careful of the things you say to them every time. Be very careful. Then the things you also watch online, they're having this very undecent scene and they are like, what are you doing? Go upstairs. You have to caution them.
And I also think the awareness for child sex education is not as much as it should be. I know when we were in school then, you have people come, health people come to school
to give things.
to give pad and all that, But do you think the idea of condom, as much as we say abstain, we say abstain, but we still, the reality of life is people are still
doing it.
So would you rather say they should, increase their awareness of both? As they are doing part, they should also do, what would you rather say?
Yes, education is an all-round thing. So if you're educating the child to abstain, you should also look at the area where a child who does not abstain, if a child does not abstain, then what happens?
What happens?
So you should educate the child to that, okay, you're not supposed to do it, but in case of eventuality or in a situation where this happens, then this is what you should do. They should also teach them preventive measures and all of that. I think it will save the world a lot of
because I heard the story of the young boy, I guess it's barely 17, that got another young girl pregnant.
Oh, they start from.
You guys, but scenarios like that, you wondering like,
I don't understand.
It's possible they don't even know what protection is all about. Like you said, rough play. Maybe it's just one rough play. And knock me, I knock you. Hit me, I hit you. You're here now. So I think awareness will go a long way.
Yes.
Continuous awareness.
Continuous awareness will go a long way. But meanwhile, I want to also look at our social media platforms and how you think it has been affecting us. Do you think it is affecting both the younger ones positively or negatively? Do you think social media has really has done more harm than good, even to the young child, even to the younger generation?
If you look at music videos these days, it's like sex is in our faces. You see half naked women. You see, it's like celebrating sex. So even when that's where education comes in, sex education comes in. You need to let your children understand that this is the limits, this is the boundary. Not scaring them, because when you scare them and then they go out there and their friends tell you, oh, your parents were just scaring you. This is not going to happen.
Yes,
you know, in those days, our parents told us, you don't sit near a boy. If not, you will get pregnant and all of that. And you know, it went wrong because we grew a little older and we realized that they were all just lies.
Big ones.
Well, I think that was their best way of, you know, trying to keep us from this.
But
it created fear in the girl's mind. Like, I can't just go and sit near a guy now before you know now Bella will just jump on me. But that was what they made us feel. Don't go near a guy, it's a sin. I just feel that we should not sugarcoat things. Like, say things the way they are. There is no need for you to begin to make it look so pretty. Just drop it like that. Let them understand the consequences of their actions.
That's because you feel this is the best way to handle it.
For another person.
Those days.
Okay.
The way our parents presented it to us is the best way to present it to us. And the basic thing is, Shebi, we were not joining body with a guy until you now grew older when you knew what these things were all about.
But it didn't prevent anything.
I feel yes.
You think we had more people? You think we had more younger?
We had wrong orientation.
A lot of people got pregnant outside. While they were still in school, even with all the fear.
Are you saying the rate as a then and now?
It might not be that high.
To measure the rates then, because you know there wasn't information then. People didn't have. There was no social media. There was no avenue where you could actually speak. Okay. You know. There were no phones and all of that, so we didn't hear it. Okay. Now information is more out there, so we hear more
a lot of things.
Of this stories. So the fact that we didn't hear it then
doesn't mean
it didn't exist. At least I knew when I was in school. Then we had cases, maybe like 3 cases while I was still in school, in secondary school, of teenagers, some of my schoolmates getting pregnant while they were in school. So it happened then. So even the fear they instilled in us then did not
help matters. Yes.
Anyway, the thing is, I want us to talk about how best to manage situations with our children, especially when it comes to sex. If you have to, you know, curb certain things, as much as you have educated them as regards to sex, I think it's also good to also monitor what they do. You know, monitor what they do, monitor what they watch. All these things will really go a long way to also help. But we'll continue on the conversation. Let's just go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll actually continue this conversation. We'll be right back.
At Spicy with Phina, we understand all the pains.
Welcome back. It's This Spicy with Phina. As you know, we are having a very interesting conversation on the show today. We're talking about child sex education. So I want to really request that we give our viewers a little tip, like more like suggestion or advice. As much as we're going to advise this woman, I want us to also advise her on how best to manage the situation she has found herself in, and then maybe tips on how to, you know, start a conversation with a child as regards to sex. Let me hear you first.
Okay, I feel when they start growing up, when the child sees, a girl begins to see a menstrual cycle, you begin to tell her things that, once you get to sleep with him and during this period, this is what happens. Okay. So when they begin to develop some of their organs, you begin to bring up conversation. Let them know what this is and what this is for. Then if you go against certain things, this is what you get to see.
Okay, you tell them
as they are growing.
You tell them what the consequences.
Yes, like, what this is, okay. What is for. Then if you go out of board, this is what you get to see.
So, and are you going to do that in a mild way, like, you know, try to make them feel loved?
Of course, it can't be.
Or you think you have?
It can't be too hard.
The hard way is better.
If you're hard, they will not even process.
I said you should not do this thing.
I feel if you are too hard on your child, they might not even process information. Okay. Let your children be able to assess you as a parent. Be open. Don't be too hard. Let them say, okay, mommy, hey, this guy came to talk to me. I don't know what I should tell him. Let your children be, oh, mommy, I woke up and I was feeling somehow weird, to let them know certain things. Exactly. Don't be too hard on them at all, please.
Tips on how best to start a conversation.
I had a friend who told me he was called from the child's school, okay. And the child refused to do anything in school, in class. So after he was called, he came home and then picked the child and asked what went wrong. And the child said, everybody in my class has a boyfriend except me. And this was in primary 3, a child in primary 3, a girl in primary 3. Said everybody has a boyfriend except me. I feel this is I told him this is a very good conversation starter. Sit down and educate your child. Tell her about sex, about the opposite sex, about the things expected, and you know, because they watch TV, they go on, they have gadgets and all of that. So they need to understand, they need to have a balance, whether we like it or not. Children have emotions.
Of course, well, as humans.
We need to understand that children have emotions, they're not wood. So you need to start educating them early. So it is, for someone like that, it is not the time to start beating your child that, stupid girl, you don't want to read, you know. Find conversation starters in everything and then start to tell them. There is no bad way of saying it, but it's just that you need to understand the child's age and then keep it as keep it in the child's age range. Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's
so
true.
what do you advise this woman to do?
So this woman, I think the child needs to go. She needs to talk to her child.
Okay.
You know, sit down, educate her child on his own sex and the opposite sex and the body chemistry and all of that. He needs to have a conversation with the child and make it like a chat, you know, chat with the child. Get the child's opinion too. Ask the child questions so that she knows where the child is at. And then she can take it up from there, because she needs to know how much the child knows first before knowing exactly where how to continue. And then if she feels it is not something she can do successfully, she can ask for help. She can
counselors.
Yes, she can let the child see counselors or psychologist or something. Yes.
Okay. Do you agree? That's it.
Yes. She should also get to ask the son a question. What are you always?
Yeah, because I think
I used to see you. What are you doing there? Are you looking for your toy? Something missing? Then you begin to start a conversation with your child. Exactly. Then these are the things you should not do. And then I feel that she should not flog or beat him or scold him. At that time, she needs to draw him close, be able to get certain things.
Information.
Yes.
He's being exposed somehow.
Yes.
Maybe he's watching certain things. Yes.
Watching certain things, or even through friends.
Yes.
Cool.
So I just feel parents should be free with their children. I keep saying this. Don't be too hard on them. Somebody outside can begin to give them wrong information.
Exactly.
Please and please know the things they watch, the friends they keep, the music they listen to, even the things they wear. Just talk to them, be free with your children. I feel it's going to really help.
Thank you so much. You guys have actually done so much. You've actually said a lot, and I am really glad to have both of you on the show.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. It's our usual norm. I have something for you guys, and Courtesy of Spicy with Phina, we have this straw pillow.
Thank you.
I know you aren't as shocked as you are because you know I've always loved you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Here you go. Thank you for coming. Thank
Pleasure.
you so much. I really appreciate you guys for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's actually going to be the end of today's episode of Spicy with Phina. And if you've been able to learn a thing or two, I want to also remind you of what they have said. Learn to have this relationship with your child. You need to always draw them close. Try to ask them questions and see how far they've come. And child sex education can start early. Start early and continue till they grow into adulthood. There's no time that is too late and there's no time that is too early. All you need to do is, when you're passing across the information, you know the right thing to say to them and how to manage those informations so it won't have a wrong effect on them. Until I come your way again next time, kindly follow us on our social media handle at Spicy with Phina. Kindly send us your messages in case you have stories, true life stories you would like us to share on the show. You can send your stories to spicywithphina@gmail.com. Like this woman, if you want physical help, like if you've tried to talk to your son and you think you don't really have that conviction that he's all right, and maybe you need a psychologist, you need a counselor, you can call the numbers on your screen and Spicy with Phina will link you up to professionals that can give you the help that you deserve. Until we come your way again next time, stay safe. I love you all.
Let it out. All day, all night, you've cried and cried. You'll be okay, you'll be fine. At Spicy with Phina, we understand all the pain.